Welcome to another episode of the Supernatural World Podcast. For today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Villisca Axe Murder House. On July 9, 2012, in Villisca, Iowa, 6 members of the Moore family and 2 house guests were brutally murdered inside of their home. 6 of the 8 victims were children, and all of them were killed by an axe. Many different people were suspects in this crime, and one of the suspects was tried in court twice before being acquitted. Even though there was a lengthy investigation into these murders, the case was never solved. No one knows who killed these 8 people, and no one knows why these 8 people were killed. The Villisca Axe Murder House, where this terrible crime took place, is now regarded to be one of the most haunted places in the world. People from all over the world come to this house, where they can stay there overnight for just $400 a night. The house even caught the attention of the show Ghost Adventures, which caused the team to investigate the house for paranormal activity. Many people who stay inside this house leave with many different paranormal stories. People describe having visions of a man carrying around an axe. People claim to hear an axe being dragged across the floor. Martha Lynn, the person who currently owns the house, has opened it for tourists, claiming that almost every guest that has ever stayed into the house has encountered something paranormal. She claims to keep a notebook where she documents the paranormal stories that she hears. She has already filled up 2 complete notebooks. The most famous example of a supernatural event happening inside this house is when Robert Stephen Larson Jr. decided to stay a night in the house. He ended up being rushed to the hospital after he stabbed himself in the chest. The story made national news. No one knows why Robert decided to stab himself in the chest, and a large fraction of people believe that Robert stabbed himself because of ghost possession. He came to the house in order to see something supernatural occur. One thing that a lot of people notice about the stabbing of Robert Larson Jr. is that he stabbed himself at 12:45 a.m., which is believed to be approximately the time those 8 people were killed by the man with an axe. Many people point to this as evidence that Larson must have been stabbed himself because of ghost possession, as no other explanation makes any sense. He obviously did not do it as a suicide attempt, because as soon as he stabbed himself, he called the friends he came with to help him. No one knows why Larson did what he did. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Supernatural World Podcast. Make sure you follow the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on, and visit our website. Link will be in the description. Thank you for listening.